is called to order. This work session, regular meeting of the Township Council is called to order. And now for my favorite part of the meeting. In accordance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, be advised that adequate notice of this reorganization of this council work session meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, was made by the posting on the bulletin board at the municipal complex and transmitted to the officially designated newspapers a list of dates annually indicating that this work session regular meeting would take place at the Franklin Township Municipal Complex at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, January 23rd. In addition, a copy of this notice is and has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the municipal clerk. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation given by Will Gualtieri. Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty.
As we gather here today as members of the Township Council, we pray that we are ever mindful of opportunities to render our service to fellow citizens and to our community, keeping in mind always the enduring values of life, exerting our efforts in those areas and those things upon which future generations can build. Let us continue to strive to make a better world. Amen.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Chase. Councilwoman Francois.
Here.
Councilman Gualtieri.
Here.
Mayor Kramer.
Here.
Councilman Onijaka.
Yes.
Councilman Passad.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Robinson.
Here.
Councilman Vesanella.
Here.
Councilman Wright.
Thank you. The item number 5 is commendations and proclamations. We have none. Item number 6, public discussion. Do I have a motion to open for public discussion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on public discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of opening for public discussion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. We are now open for public discussion. 5 minutes per speaker. May only come up once. No yielding of time. Please state your name and address when you come up.
Thank you, Your Lordship the Mayor, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Ambassador and Deputy Permanent Representative of Sri Lanka to the United Nations. I thank you all for this opportunity given to me to make a short observation at this prestigious council meeting. Sri Lanka is an island state in the Indian Ocean, just on the other side of the globe. The sun sets near the city of Franklin to rise in Sri Lanka every day. I am here with persons of Sri Lankan origin, whom we call our cultural ambassadors at large. They are contributing to people-to-people contact between our two countries. While Sri Lanka having 2,500 years of written history, it also has evidence of prehistoric man's presence. The country, because of its abundance in natural resources, has always been a treasure to colonial invaders. During the Este years, it was colonized by Portugal, Holland, and Great Britain during various periods of time in the history. The influence of colonization and foreign traders has had made visible phenomena in the cultural values of the community. The country now has about 22 million population in its rich green 25,000 square mile landscape. It is a place where multi-ethnic and multi-religious people live in harmony with equal rights. Sinhala, Tamil, and English are widely spoken languages in Sri Lanka. Buddhism, Hinduism, Christianity, and Islam are leading faiths followed in the country. The hill country of Sri Lanka has a mountain called Adam's Peak. It is up to our imagination how the first human being landed in Sri Lanka from the heaven. Over the time of history, Sri Lanka had been called with several names. One is Serendip, for its heavenly nature and resources. Beyond beaches, the island is dotted with many attractions be it nature, wildlife, adventure, ruins, or ancient kingdoms, and towering religious sites. Sri Lanka has no distinct seasons, and most of our people in Sri Lanka have never experienced snow piling up in their rooftops. Tea, rubber, garments, gemstones, and many other agricultural and industrial products exported to the world from Sri Lanka today. However, tourism industry plays pivotal role in our economy. The tourism sector has been experiencing an impressive growth both in terms of tourist arrival and foreign exchange revenue after the restoration of peace and normalcy in the country in 2009. The Sri Lankan government has identified tourism sector as key growth area in post-conflict development with ambitious target of attracting over 2.5 million visitors per year. Companies that already have committed major investment include premier Asian luxury hotel chain like Shangri-La Group, India's upscale ITC Group, Thailand's Minor Group, Spain's RIU Hotels and Resorts, Singapore's Aman Resorts, Banyan Tree, etc. Furthermore, international brands such as Sheraton and Starwood Hotels and Resorts, Marriott International, Grand Hyatt, and Movenpick Hotels and Resorts, and Onyx Hospitality says the management agreement with hotel in Sri Lankan companies. As tourism arrivals have continuously increased since the end of conflict in May 2009, the Sri Lankan government is ensuring that the building blocks for economic growth are being developed simultaneously with major infrastructure projects like expressways, airports, and seaports. Considering significant growth in the tourism industry, one of the most prestigious global travel publications, the largest travel guidebook and digital media publisher in the world, Lonely Planet, had ranked Sri Lanka as the best country to visit. In its effusive article, the Lonely Planet said, investment is fueling the tourism industry and visitor numbers are steadily increasing. Prices are affordable with affordable flights from the convenient travel hubs. One of the main advantages of Sri Lanka as a tourism destination is varied attraction available and now increasingly accessible with the development of underlying infrastructure. As Lonely Planet notes, although Sri Lanka has traditionally been known as a predominantly beach destination, it offers culture, nature, agro-community, religious and spiritual attractions. Endless beaches, timely ruins, welcoming people, oodles of elephants, killer surf, cheap prices, fun trains, and flavorful food are experiences that attract travelers, it said. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
I'm Vijay Kottachi from the New Jersey Buddhist Vihara here in Franklin. So when Councilman Rajiv Prasad brought up this concept or idea of a sister city program with Franklin and Sri Lankan city of Mirissa with me and also with the ambassador. So I thought it could be very fitting because this city, Franklin, is so diverse. We have so many houses of worship. All the religions are represented. Sri Lanka, on the other hand, as the ambassador mentioned, is similar in nature in our diversity of ethnic and religious groups. So I thought it'll be a real good match to do that on levels of diversity. But also we are a democracy and thriving economy with vast tourist arrivals, and the country is very appealing to the tourists, not only for the beaches, but also for the 2,500 years of various cultural. In fact, we have over 16 UNESCO designated sites dotted all over Sri Lanka, religious and other monumental in nature. And then you can go from one end of the country to the other, 80 degrees to about 40 degrees in about 4 hours drive. So another attraction there. And literacy rate is very high. So we have opportunities to interact with the two populations here in Franklin and also in the city of Mirissa, which is a coastal city which is known for the whale watching. the whale watching is right through the year. Being Indian Ocean, in warm waters, you can go whale watching in December, January, July, or there is no season for that. It's become quite a popular event there. And in addition to the very attractive beaches, the prices are very affordable. Hotels, even though we have luxury hotels, comparatively affordable compared to the major cities. And on a cultural level, some people, and scuba diving level, I think the mayor is very much interested in scuba diving. So we have international scuba diving people coming in the eastern part of, so the next trip could be from Franklin to scuba diving to Sri Lanka. So I think for all those reasons I mentioned, this will, I think, it'll be a very good match. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Vajira Gunavardhana, and I'm a member of the New Jersey Buddhist Vihara congregation. And many of you were there last fall to see the groundbreaking and witness the groundbreaking of that new temple that we are planning. One of the things that I want to follow up with the two previous speakers was why Mirissa. Mirissa, like Dr. Kotachi said, has all the elements of a seaside resort and the culture. Now, one of the things that I forgot to mention was Sri Lanka has the largest whale in the world, the blue whale. The blue whale is bigger than the killer whale. And the reason it can survive year-round is because it doesn't migrate, but it goes down to a canyon deep below to maintain the temperature. So in the summer months, it comes up and goes. That's one of the things. Then the second thing is, Sri Lanka, Buddhism was brought to Sri Lanka, not brought to Sri Lanka, Buddhism nurtured after Henry Halcott, a New Jersey resident, took and started the first Buddhist school that this young man was educated at, okay? So we were under colonial time, just like this country was, and the British did not encourage it, but it had to be an American to come and say, hey, enough is enough, and we want the local population to start teaching their kids the religion of their choice. So in that sense, we have a cultural and a social interaction with the United States and especially New Jersey. So for those reasons, I think picking Mirissa, the shore town, to be a sister city is very appropriate, and we support that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm Carol Keene. I reside at 4291 Route 27, actually right next to the Buddhist Vihara. I've been a long-time resident of Franklin Township, and I am also involved in a lot of the activities that go on with the Buddhist Vihara. I support this resolution as Franklin Township and Sri Lanka have many commonalities. Both are diverse in terms of ethnic and cultural groups as well as religions. I've traveled in Sri Lanka and can attest to the rich, extensive history and cultural monuments and the opportunities for ecotourism. For example, as was mentioned on the southern coast, there's a year-round availability of whale watching, and beyond that, there are numerous parks in the country for wildlife watching opportunities. Actually, the opportunities for tourism are endless and have just begun to be developed since the end of the conflicts 10 years ago. The Sri Lankan community in Franklin, centered at the New Jersey Buddhist Vihara, has offered this community many opportunities for practicing meditation, being included in cultural and religious activities, and by offering a place of quiet reflection and peace. In conclusion, I would be willing to be involved in any ad hoc committee that the Township would develop to support this sister city project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Darrell Mendes. I am also a member of the New Jersey Buddhist Vihara. sort of speaking a few words about the excitement of Twin City between Mirissa and Franklin, because as a previous speaker said, Sri Lanka is very diverse in its culture and religious activities, so like Franklin Township. And Sri Lanka has a lot to offer by way of tourism and also other economic investments in Sri Lanka. Tourism is not just only confined to the beaches. We have a rich heritage and also a beautiful plantation like tea plantation, which is considered as one of the best teas in the world, which is known as Ceylon tea, previous name of Sri Lanka. And coming back to Mirissa, Mirissa is a southern coast city in Sri Lanka. It's fast developing in the tourist industry. A lot of hotels and guest houses are coming up very fast. And the main attraction, of course, is whale watching. And of course, a lot of dolphins as well. I've been there more than a couple of times, and I've seen whales and dolphins. It's not just one or two, but you see many in one trip. And of course, the beach, great for scuba diving, and also there's a section which is ideal for surfing. So it's a beautiful place, and it'll be wonderful if Franklin Township can join up with Mirissa. Thank you so much.
So if I could ask any of the speakers from Sri Lanka or about Sri Lanka, when is the best time to visit? Oh.
Good evening. Alex Karazi, 14 Margaret Drive in Somerset. Mr. Mayor, on behalf of the Interfaith Coalition and as president of Interfaith Coalition of Franklin Township, I have known the Sri Lankan community for quite some time. They are active members of Interfaith Coalition, active members of different interfaith activities, including Dr. Martin Luther King. I know they're great people. They're great people to get to know them and be friend with them. And I think this concept of Sister City is a great concept for us to explore. And I hope soon we will see that to become a reality and not only benefit us economically, but also benefit us diversely and also living together and promoting peace and harmony among different faith groups as well as different cultures. So whatever this council can do to help this become a reality, we greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Mayor, seeing no one come forward, a motion to close the public portion of the meeting.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on closing? Seeing none, all in favor of closing public discussion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. We are now on to, we have council comments before council discussion. Okay. Council comments. So start with our newest member.
I go from last to first. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Really, there hasn't been too much over the past few weeks. It's still quiet and ramping up, but I do want to say that we did it. Myself, along with almost all the members of council, attended the Martin Luther King Jr. breakfast, and thank you. I know Alex Karzai is very involved with that, but thank you to everybody, all the volunteers that helped put together. It was a wonderful event, and there was definitely some talent there also that we saw from our youth. So thank you very much, and looking forward to next year's. Other than that, Mr. Mayor, I really don't have anything.
Thank you. Councilman Charles Only Chaka.
Good, Mayor.
First of all, let me use this opportunity and privilege to thank Dr. Alex for putting the Martin Luther King Day together for everybody. We all came and it was a very good thing for us to enjoy. The second thing I want to touch is the sister city relationship. I'm very, very happy that the council and the city of Franklin is going towards this direction. Not only for pleasure, but also for giving the both cities an opportunity to exchange their technology, the tradition, and their culture. It will help us to know more about other people, how they live. I think it's a very good idea, and I personally will support that idea that we exchange relationship, bilateral relationship in terms of business and technology with another country or another city. That is what I have to say, Mayor. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Councilwoman Kimberly Francois.
Sorry, we were up here conferring who was going to give the economic development report. so that's what
Glad
that.
we've come to
that's
one
what-
mind on that.
That's what that was all about. I think you can go ahead. You can go ahead and give the report. I just wanted to say that I really like the concept of the Sister City program. I think it's going to promote global diversity, global different kinds of religions. I'm looking forward to student exchange visits and pen pals and video interactions and things like that. And also maybe having an opportunity to work with the Sri Lanka community here in Franklin Township and get people more engaged with the government and us getting more engaged with the things that you do and just raising that awareness. So I'm really looking forward to that. We did a lot of conversating about the Sister Cities program and the administration committee, which I'm a part of. Will is Councilman Gattari is a part of, he's new, so we're still all getting his name right. Will was a part of. Also, our councilman from Nigeria, he also wants to talk about sister cities. I'm surprised that you didn't, about your sister city.
Yes, but it's next council meeting. The team will be here to talk about it.
Okay.
But that is what I said. I like it, and I think it's going to work out for Sri Lanka and my own town, Nkwara in Nigeria. They will be here next meeting to talk about it.
All your
more.
folks will be here at the next meeting?
Absolutely.
We were over here talking, so I'm sorry I didn't hear that part. If you said it,
no.
I was talking to the councilman over here. And also Councilman Rajiv Prasad for championing this cause. When he first brought it up, we said we really need to develop a policy because we've never done this before and we want to do it the right way. When we roll it out, we want to do it the right way because it's not going to just be Sri Lanka. It's going to be, what's the name of your sister?
Nkwara.
Nkware.
NKWER, yes.
Nkware, okay. And there will be others, I'm sure. So we're really looking forward to this rolling out this program. And I'm really glad you said that you wanted to be on the advocacy committee because we're going to need volunteers to help us out. This is new territory that we're embarking upon, and we're going to need citizens to be involved. So thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Now you can give the economic development report.
Stand by, I think I'm still running the meeting. Or is that?
I said thank you, Mr.
Apparently,
Mayor.
As
Not
the
anymore.
township attorney just pointed out, apparently not. So you're done. Thank you very much,
you, Mr.
Councilwoman
Mayor.
Francois. Councilman Vasanella.
Oh, thank you. What the councilman was referring to is, although I've always been very interested in following along with our economic development, especially in the Hamilton corridor, just recently this year, I'm actually serving on the committee because prior was Councilwoman Sherman, who most people out there might know was very involved with economic development, but has just retired as of December 31st from the council. So anyway, I was asking who or how they give the report, because it's a new committee for me. So we don't have minutes printed up yet, but we did have a meeting last week, and I'll just mention a couple of the things that I think are wonderful coming along. I don't know exactly what NJSIAA represents, but it's basically the group track championships.
New Jersey State Interscholastic Athletic Association.
I had a feeling that the manager would step in with that. So anyway, the state championships are coming to Franklin High School, like, long story short. Correct, manager? And that's a real, I think, a real shot in the arm to this whole drive to have these entities, especially, as most people know, the high school being very convenient to our major highways there, be able to host a state championship. The other thing, there's a candy company in Franklin that's looking to hopefully expand their facility and build a museum and a opportunity for a tour of their manufacturing facility. So I know I will enjoy going on that tour if they indeed build it. But that's going to be a real another feather in the cap, because I believe it will be one of the only of its type in the country, and actually could be you know, educational. I'm not sure if they're going to be inviting groups in, but I imagine a lot of people will see it. Other items as a strategic plan we went over, but we don't have official minutes, so I don't want to get into a lot of the details. But we are looking at opportunities for branding, especially, I know Councilman Sherman's talked about it a lot in the past, but especially as it comes to publications, because ultimately, as much as people use the internet, fortunately, I know I like hard copy. People still do put out glossy publications, and the county puts out a wonderful one, which we took a full-page ad in recently, the back cover, if I remember right, to kind of jumpstart our economic development, visibility, and branding. So there'll be a lot more to come with that. Another meeting was today, Public Safety Committee, which it's a little more use. I've been on that committee since I started on council. The mayor was there, Councilwoman Robinson, and Councilman Will.
Councilman Will.
I don't want to mispronounce your name. But seriously, the one item that we met about, and is very important, is we agreed to move forward, and it's on tonight's agenda, and it's a shared services agreement with Fire District 1 and the Township Fire Prevention Department. We've had it before, but we're kind of taking it up a notch, and it has to do with the hiring of a full-time inspector, that they will offset the cost through district funds, and it will allow the township not only to increase their capacity to do timely inspections, but will provide another key full-time worker that will respond if and when needed to fires in the township for the time that our fire prevention department is open, so to speak. So it's a new tweak or new twist on this interlocal, and it really is something that's important to the long-term safety of our township. We do work on complete volunteer when it comes to fire, other than this hybrid of sorts, where our fire prevention employees, and now an additional one that we'll be hiring, will be there to help fight fires. And that's pretty much it. There's more meetings coming up this month that I'll report on at the next meeting. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Theodore Chase, Dr. Councilman Theodore Chase.
I don't have much to report. I've been out sick for about the last week and missed a couple of the committee meetings that otherwise should have been at, such as the Economic Development Committee. I do want to report on the updates from the Franklin Township Task Force on the proposed compressor and the Northeast Supply Enhancement Project. There, FERC is getting a little more definite about expecting to issue the draft environmental impact statement in March. And after that, we have 45 days to make comments on it. and they should be holding public hearings on it. And there's a number of items which the task force has identified that they feel should be covered and have not been covered so far in the preparation for the draft environmental impact statement, particularly in terms of emissions of various sorts from the compressor. And of course, I'm always very proud to have the New Jersey Buddhist Vihara, not only in my ward, but in my election district, very close by, and appreciate having them there, and particularly appreciated the recognition of Colonel Henry Olcott, of the New Jersey resident who really founded Buddhist schools in Sri Lanka, as was mentioned, and of whom they have a statue. So I look forward to completing the sister city arrangement and perhaps to visit Marissa Township then. So, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Dr. Chase. Councilman Rajiv Prasad.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Land Use Committee meets on tomorrow, Wednesday, and at admin, we discussed the Sister City program, which we're going to go into a council discussion item on, so we'll discuss that in more detail. The Community Foundation has not met, and Human Relations Commission met yesterday, and we had an outstanding young man called Ike Oninjaka representing Middle Earth, and he is actually now running the program of supporting youth in Franklin through Middle Earth, and he's based out of 935 Hamilton Street, and so there's a lot of support available, plus we're trying to find him more volunteers to work with him to tutor, coach the kids, etc., that are in need of help at home, after work, etc. So that is available, and we will be supporting that to make sure that he is successful in his efforts to change Franklin school results and support the kids. The compressor support, you've seen that Councilman Chase already reported on it. I'm the other liaison to the task force, and in other activities and reports, the mayor, deputy mayor, and I attended the Blue Ribbon Award celebration from the U.S. Department of Education for the Cedar Hill Prep, and it was quite a acknowledgement of their excellence, and they are the preferred school. They're up to 8th grade, so they're the preferred school for the major prep schools on the Eastern Seaboard, including Exeter and Petty and other schools, Lawrenceville, etc., that they would take these children as their first choice out of that school. So they've done well, and they are dedicated. They're willing to share their best practices and work with other people, including the Board of Ed, and they're dedicated to the kids. My congratulations to Dr. Karazi and Gary Rosenthal and others who were volunteers did a great job. I believe we had about 450 people at the MLK breakfast, which grows every year, and it's a phenomenal thing. So my kudos and congratulations to everyone. The Sister City program we'll be discussing more about, and the 68th Republic Day celebration, a lot of the Indians will be celebrating. So I just wanted to congratulate them. That's it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Prasad. Deputy Mayor Chanel Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In regards to Housing Authority, everything is working well, even with government shutdown
looming over our heads, and it did happen. The Housing Authority is in good shape and prepared to continue on with business as usual, even in spite of a government shutdown. Then, as Councilman Vasanella mentioned, public safety with the shared services agreement. I'm going to defer financial oversight to Mr. Mayor, that I am a part of, Councilwoman Francois, as well as Councilman Chase and Mr. Mayor, Phil Kramer. So I'll defer that report to you. Congratulations to the MLK Foundation. It was a wonderful celebration, and congratulations on 21 years of serving the community and the students in this community, making sure that they're prepared and have some funding to continue their education, and we're glad to be a part of that. As Councilman Prasad mentioned, we were in attendance to the Blue Ribbon celebration for Cedar Hill Prep. The students, faculty, and staff were excited, and you could just feel the excitement and just the enthusiasm that the staff has with their students and their parents. It's a partnership, and whether it's a private school or our great public school system here in Franklin Township, it is a partnership between the community, the parents, the faculty, and staff to making sure that our students are well prepared going forward. And then I attended 2 firemen's officers installation for Elizabeth Avenue as well as community. And I just want to congratulate them on a fine job that all of our fire departments are providing the services to our Franklin residents. They are on a volunteer basis, so I encourage any good young man or woman, they are looking for a few good men and women to join with them. Again, this is volunteer, but they do a phenomenal job, even in spite of being volunteers and even in spite of the being few in numbers, but they continue to serve us well. And that's all that I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman. So for my report, for the Financial Oversight Committee, what we are discussing now and will be intensely for the next few weeks is the budget. I generally don't go into a lot of details about the budget until we have our budget meetings. Not a huge number of changes. There may be a new position, or it was proposed that there'd be a new position at Rec that would be paid for out of the Recreation Trust Fund, which grows from user fees, so it would not increase taxes at all, but might increase, or the proposal would be that it would increase services to the town. I think I'll save the rest of the budget until we have budget meetings. I went to the MLK breakfast, and again, outstanding, amazing how well it grows. I also attended the other night the girls' basketball team, a home game versus Rutgers Prep, so kind of a home game. And very exciting game, came down to the buzzer. Unfortunately, our girls lost by 1 point, but clearly a well-fought game and great sportsmanship. 2 items that are come to us from the federal government and from the state. The first item is salt, and not the stuff that we sprinkle on the roads, and not the stuff, as the township attorney reminded me of the old nuclear missile agreements. That took me way back. That took a way back. But no, the state and local taxes. And there's been a lot of talk about the idea of a township or municipality accepting donations in lieu of taxes. So if you owed $10,000 in taxes, you could make that a donation, and then we would then put that into the tax fund and cancel out your tax debt, and then you could deduct that as a charitable donation and not reach the new federal limit of the $10,000. The attorney and I had a medium-length discussion on it today. there's a lot of ifs and maybes and how-abouts with that, a lot of unexplored territory. I think it would be foolhardy for us to do that on our own without the state doing something. When we allowed, or we opened our doors evenings and on one Saturday for people to come and pay their taxes, their 2018 taxes in 2017, there were several discussions between the manager, myself, and the attorney as to exactly what to do and what we thought might be allowed. And it was a moving target the whole way, but I think we did very well and hit that target precisely in that we didn't give false expectations, and I don't want to give false expectations with SALT. I do encourage the state legislature and the governor to take some actions as best they can so that at least we have some guidance. And we're going to be hearing more about that. I hope to be hearing more about that on Thursday morning. I'm going to the New Jersey League of Mayors Association in Trenton. There's a meeting, a yearly meeting, where usually the state legislators are there. The speaker of the assembly. Is the speaker going to be there? I don't know. Okay. Last time I was there, the speaker was there, the Senate president was there, and the lieutenant governor was there. So it's not clear who will be there, but I intend to ask the question about the SALT if no one else does. The other thing I want to ask questions about is there was a great flurry of bill signing in Governor Christie's last hours there, and one of them was a bill about performance bonds. So performance bonds are a bond, a sum of money that is put in escrow when a developer, and if I make a mistake here, either the manager or the attorney can chime in, they put down as a guarantee of performance that when they build a street, and I'm thinking of Jeremy Street, is that Jim?
Jeremy Court was,
Jeremy
I mean,
Court.
but that's not really what that legislation was about. Those are public improvements that are turned over to the town. Specifically, the legislation was about, we require, and the law used to require, the municipal land use law would require that a developer would post performance bonds for those things that not necessarily would become public property once it was completed. There were performance bonds posted for improvements on the property as part of the development. That's the legislation that we're speaking about.
Correct. Like
A
we
building.
do now, for instance, if there is somebody builds an office building, they currently have to bond for the parking lot and
Right.
the lights in the parking lot and those things. so that
Those
we make sure that-
improvements, correct.
which may not necessarily ever become owned by the public, but which
Correct.
are open to the public.
So this
But-
would give us leverage if they do not build it appropriately and safely and meeting code to say you're not getting your bond money back until you do it properly. Trenton, I won't put blame any particular place, Trenton decided that that is not going to happen anymore. And that really takes a lot of ability and oversight out of our hands, and I think that was a major mistake. So I will be asking that question again if no one else asks. That completes my report. Councilman Wright appeared just in time. Do you have comments? No?
No, Mr. Mayor.
You were my favorite councilman
Happy New
for
Year.
the night. Oh, Happy New Year to you. And that completes council comments. Time for the manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just quickly, one, I also attended the Martin Luther King breakfast. I would like to thank Alice Osipowitz, who's been on the organizing committee of that breakfast since its inception 21 years ago. And also thank Sergeant Sean Hebon, who's been the Master of Ceremonies for the last several years. I think he does a fantastic job, and we should be very proud of the involvement that our staff from the township has with that particular event. I had the pleasure of attending for the 21st year in a row. I'm one of the ones who have been to every single one since they started back at what is now the middle school 21 years ago. So that was it was truly a wonderful event, again, as it is every year. And Dr. Karazi, thank you for your involvement as well. The one thing I have to report is, needless to say, the flu is upon us. I think all of us now know at least one person, because there's one person up here who I think experienced it down at the other end, and I'm kind of surprised to see him here today, given his condition over the weekend, so he's making a good recovery. Apparently it's not long-lasting, but it's a hard hit. I've known a number of people who have been suffering from it, including my wife. Not that I laugh about my wife having the flu, but nonetheless, the reason I bring it up is there are free flu vaccines available to anyone over the age of 18 on Tuesday, January 30th from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Somerset County Human Services Building at 27 Warren Street in Somerville. And then again on Thursday, February 1st from 4 to 7 p.m. here at our Franklin Township Public Library at 485 DeMott Lane. And then again on February 8th, Thursday from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Public Library satellite on that 3391 Route 27 at the Franklin Town Center. So if you haven't received it and you happen to be in this particular area on the 1st, or in Somerville on the 30th, or down in Franklin Park on the 8th, be sure to stop by the library or the Human Services Building in Somerville to receive your free flu shot. And that's being sponsored by the Somerset County Health Department. And I have nothing else. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. We are now on to council discussion items, and the first item will be the gazebo update. And so if Mr. Grippo, Mr. Felix, and Mr. Steinbrook, if you could come up, you could have a seat at the table if you'd like and grab the mic. That would be terrific. And before they speak, if we could have the camera zoom in on this. I don't know if it's going to be big enough. Probably won't be able to see. Here you go, zooming in. Okay. All right. So take it away, Mr. Felix.
Good evening, all, and thanks for the opportunity for being here. A few months ago, we were here promoting or presenting the idea of the gazebo, and we are here today to give you an update.
I'm going to interrupt you 1 second. So members of the press, when we have people come up here, if you wish to come up, and stand here and take a picture or two, that's fine for any of these kind of things. Sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Felix.
No problem. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you're aware, the Cultural Arts Council is a chartered organization, organization that is based here in town, and our sole objective is to bring our community together through the arts. We think that the gazebo, which the council is constructing, is a combination of what our objective stands for in terms of its vision to be a gathering space for the community to have various arts and musical events. My partners here, Bill and Mike, will attest to some of the specifics in regards to the gazebo, but I simply just want to add that thus far we have raised sufficient funds in order to proceed to the next step, and I will let Mike and Bill elaborate on that aspect of it. Thank you.
Mike's got a lot of details tonight, so we'll hold him. So we're back again. I didn't think we'd be back so soon, but we've had great results so far. We're at about $35,000. Our goal is 50. plus a little bit more. You know, we're moving forward. We've had some great, I don't know, some phone calls work, some phone calls don't, and some are amazing. So the people are very generous. Got about 15,000 to go. We have a goal. The goal is to be complete by the 4th of July. And if you believe it, you could do it. So that's going to take some coordination with the township, with some more donors, with some planning, with some of the plans that Mike's going to talk about. It's a very, very exciting project for Franklin Township. And you really just have to have a vision. When you hear this story about the sister city, with Sri Lanka right behind me, and what the councilman said about Nigeria, this is a place that our biggest donor, Mr. Sadani, talked about it being a place for harmony and peace, and that's why he gave his donation. And when you look at it that way, it's not just a gazebo for music and all, but for reflection, for the people to come together. I hear about the Martin Luther King breakfast. You know, I could envision a vigil out there for whatever reason it might be, hopefully good reasons, where people could assemble when the weather's good. I know we don't always have good weather, but when the weather's good, we could see children playing on. And I think it's the vision that the donors have caught onto. And what an entrance to Franklin Township. The more we look at pictures as people drive into the municipal complex, it's like right at it's the fixture that says hello. And it's just going to be great. So, my job is, kind of raising the money. But I do have to say that the Cultural Arts Commission under Mike and John's leadership really has given me the inspiration to continue making those phone calls. The point I like to make with the donors is that it's a one-time contribution. And believe it or not, the 4th of July letters are getting ready to go in the mail. So when people look at me, I think they run the other way. But I impress on people that this is a one-time contribution. And the lasting benefits are going to benefit many, many children. We have a situation, we're working with the Amish people on Route 27, B&L Woodworking, and Mike's going to talk a little bit about that. And now we're at a point where we come here tonight where we really want your nod, and you ask for it, to move forward, because we have to sit with the township managers, a lot of details, and we got to, I'm a school principal, like, got to get permission to do things. So I'm kind of like, we're looking for permission tonight, the final kind of go ahead. So I want to throw it to Mike. Mike's done a super job with graphics and things. These plans come from B&L Woodworking, and he's got a special event that we're putting together that I want to say for him because it's really, really exciting. Okay, Michael.
All right, so I'm going to keep it fairly short, but I think we wanted to come again because we want to move along very transparently and bring as much information to council as possible, and make sure we have your continued blessing and support, and hopefully you all go out there and keep spreading the word in terms of raising funds to finish the job. We're probably, I guess that, we're around 35, so we're, probably closing in on 70% there, right? And but in addition to that, we have secured some donation of materials because, whatever we have going on, what we build and the materials we use all will be coming in as a donation. These are the plans from our friend Jake, who will be probably in all likelihood building the structure. We have, kind of thinking in terms of a 5-stage, plan. We're going to be sitting down, getting Jake to sit down with township officials to make sure that the plans work for the township, and that the foundation is appropriate for the structure. So you can see you have 4 drawings. One is the front elevation, which is, so basically the front view of the gazebo. The gazebo will be approximately 38 feet wide. They call it oval, right? It's going to be 8 pillars. It's octagonal, but it's an oval. And so it'll be 38 feet wide, and the opening in the front will be 14 feet. So we actually kind of plotted that out. at the site, not for the particular specific location, but for just the size of it, to make sure that we could do small theatrical, musical theater and other productions and have a pretty good opening. It's not meant to be a full stage, but it's going to be an appropriate size, not too big and not too small to do the things we want to do. So we have, I did colorize that front elevation, and I just threw it on a picture I had of the space. Now that's not meant to be scaled. Probably what it'll look like is the gazebo will look smaller. It'll be pushed a little further back, but in order for you to actually get a sense of it. But you can get a sense of what we can do, and what we've been calling the Great Lawn in front of it for folks to come together and really have the kind of programming that we as a Cultural Arts Council, who took our direction from the community by bringing together on a number of occasions all the diverse, partners, organizations, faith communities, peoples of Franklin, to really say, what do you want from us? What do you envision for us as a community? And how can the Arts Council help accomplish that? So I echo the thoughts around, the whole concept of sister city, and I am sure there'll be a Sri Lankan, arts and culture performance, along with many other places, including Sierra Leone and other places up there. And I wanted to mention, just as a side note, I'm sure you guys have already done this, but if you don't know Michael Tublin, you guys must know Michael Tublin. So Michael Tublin's Director of International Programs in New Brunswick, and he runs the Sister Cities program with Hungary and Japan and Ireland. So if you haven't had him in, he's your guy, and he was raised in Franklin and has strong Franklin ties. So that's kind of where we're at. And then the one thing I wanted to say, so in addition to all your legwork you'll be doing to help, kind of bring in donations for this fine project, we're going to have on May 12th, everything's not 100% locked in, but we have a venue. We're going to be having a community concert to act as, it's going to be a kind of our big event for the year for the Cultural Arts Council, and it will serve as a fundraiser to help with this project. But we're going to have a concert at the auditorium at Franklin High School. We're bringing in some friends of mine who have a band called Motor City Review, who play Motown, Stax, R&B, and some rock. And they're amazing. They're going to bring in their full complement, 11-piece, probably 5 horns, and along with some kind of student performance we're working out. So we really want to just bring the whole community out to kind of pitch in and to kind of let them know a little bit about where we're at with the project. And hopefully by then we'll be, pretty far along. So do we get to answer questions or anything, or we're just wrapping up and heading out?
That was May 12th?
May 12th. It's Mother's Day weekend, so please bring your mothers if they're still with you.
At what time?
It'll be 7 to 10. My mother lives in Franklin now.
Anyone on
Just me.
council have any questions?
I have one question, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
So in the front, it looks like you have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps to get up on the gazebo?
Yep.
And is there like,
No, there probably will be. What's your question, about a rail?
so I was wondering if there's like a handicap ramp or.
That is an excellent question, because I actually work in the disabilities field as a career, and one of my non-negotiables was that this would be a fully ADA compliant and accessible facility, both for people with disabilities and wheelchair users to perform, if they're getting married up on the stage, so no extraordinary measures need to be taken to get people to be able to use it. And that's one of the challenges we're going to be looking at, and we're going to be sitting down with the township, just because the back, what you don't see is the back of the thing. So we want to have a ramp going up. There's going to be another opening in the back, and then so the stages I was talking about is, one, we're going to, we want to get the foundation, then we're going to do the build, then we're going to, then we'll be doing run the electric, then we'll do the sidewalks, and then lastly the landscaping. So we're kind of working on getting a sort of project timeline, because we've accelerated we talked about 1 to 2 years when we first came to you. Somehow it became 4th of July. So we're dead set on making it happen, and I think we can. We're hoping for that date. But it can't hurt to shoot for it, right? So it would be nice to. But any other questions?
I have a question.
Councilman Vasanella.
Yes. So I was looking at your construction designs, not to find anything wrong with them, just to get a visual understanding. So 2 things. One's a question and one's a suggestion. Are there any pathways? I don't know, be specific, but
Yep.
you have a pathway from the parking lot?
Councilman, I just,
Yeah.
so
We're
the
gonna-
site work, so let me just interject here.
You
So we
please
don't
do.
get ahead of ourselves here.
Right
There's a
on.
meeting scheduled between the Engineering and Public Works and Construction Code offices with Mr. Steinberg that's in the midst of being scheduled. All of the site work and all of a site plan and detailed construction drawings are necessary for this, not just because it's on our property, but because it's necessary to build a structure like this. So all of those things are going to be included at that time. So this was just kind of an impromptu something to put together, and rather than debate and discuss all of we need to do a lot a lot of work yet.
Yeah,
And
no,
that-
I
and
understand.
No, I'm just saying, I don't want it to.
In summary, on our final visit, the idea is that you'll have the full site plan. You'll be able to kind of have an aerial perspective, know exactly what the size is, where the sidewalks will be running, where the access
No, and
is.
the only reason I bring that up is because that's what I figured, that's your next step now.
Absolutely,
And,
yeah.
and I know from looking at it where you have the ramp and everything, it looks pretty well planned out already. Just that
Yep.
there are handicap spots over in front of the library, which makes sense, obviously. Have a path that looks like it would go right up to the back where
Yeah.
your ramp thing
Yeah.
is anyway. And the only other thing I was going to say, coming from more of a, having gone, as I'm sure many of us has, shows of various sorts all over the place outdoors, that I notice you have pretty much 7-foot ceiling, a 7-foot between the floor and
The height and the ceiling,
the
yeah.
height of where you can't see. And I'm just thinking, because I can see it being used for the type of shows you're talking about, and if you have people sitting out in the audience, when you only have a 7-foot window, I know because you're obviously involved in a lot of stages, that if there's one thing I would consider as you're reviewing the final construction ideas, is to have a larger area between, what would be the railing and the roof, so that you have
Yep.
a larger window that people could see, if you understand what I'm talking about.
So we did consider that both in terms of just being, visually accessible to people who are out on the lawn, but also we have to think about the kind of lighting we're going to have, in the
was the
structure
other-
itself, and you can't have that right on your head. So I think we're okay. We did sort of measure it out and look at it, but yeah. Yeah.
No, I'm not talking monstrosity, but I don't, as you guys look over it, maybe if you add,
Yeah.
you can add even a foot without it throwing off the whole feel of it.
Yep.
Just
Yep.
gives you more opportunity for the
No, we
public
appreciate the
displays.
feedback.
But otherwise, no, it looks wonderful, and good luck. Thank
Great.
you for moving it so fastly along.
You bet. It's been a lot of fun. It's a good group.
Councilman Prasad.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I'm impressed, and is it too early for me to make a motion for them to go ahead and proceed?
I had one question, but I will come back to you.
Okay.
No one else.
All
Does
right.
anyone else have anything? No. The railing looks great, and it's probably required by code, but if you're having a play, it kind of gets in the way, so give some thought to that.
Yep. It is.
The
It
railing
is.
that goes
It is a
around the
matter of
perimeter.
both code, I think, and also, safety with kids in terms of how far apart they can be. But that's why we have the 14-foot span, and
Okay, we don't have to get into detail.
I think we're.
It-
I got you.
The Construction Code Department will ensure that it is built to code.
Right, I
That's what I said, and they're having meetings scheduled now.
Yep.
I think so, that would.
Going to be great.
Any other items? Any other discussion items?
It looks really nice.
Looks-
Let's
great
go
job.
to, but,
Oh, okay. That's true. To the mic, in the mic.
Sure, thank you.
Just saying that the venue's multifaceted, so we will have benches inside those railings that you see for people to be able to sit and read and relax when there aren't any events going on. Plus, we hope that Rutgers is, we're dealing with them now for the landscaping, so it really is picturesque. So it's a lot to be done.
Thank you.
Appreciate Bob's help, by the way. He's invaluable.
Thank you. Good job.
Councilman Prasad?
Like to move that you proceed with the township and drawings and whatever else to get your shovel to the ground and get this thing built by July 4th.
Second.
Second.
So do we want to give them, I'm sorry, moved and seconded, any discussion? So my thought is, do we want to give them full scale, go ahead, or do we want to see the final plan reviews?
We trust our court enforcement
Those
department.
are all options. It could be contingent on the manager, it could be contingent on us seeing another review.
No.
Mr.
We
Mayor?
have our court enforcement people that will ensure all those compliances.
So that's your motion and the second,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
Councilman Wright.
I was going to throw it down to the big guy at the end because it doesn't need to come back to us.
Okay.
So I agree with Councilman Prasad that our township officials, code enforcement, engineering, they should take care of everything with the planning board. And I assume Dr. Chase, who's sitting next to me, would be more than happy to see you come before the planning board. And once that's done, I mean, it's like any other program. Go with it.
Actually, it won't need to go to the planning board. It's being built on our property.
That's even better.
And we're government, and we don't have.
And we're special.
And we govern ourselves.
Any other discussions?
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I'm not suggesting they need to come back for permission to proceed, but it would be asked that you let us know that it's happening, and you may want to have you may want to have for your own, publicity, a little groundbreaking ceremony, which I'm sure most of us would love to come see, and the media would love to cover.
We meant to invite you all to that, and we'll let you know what the date is.
But yeah, no, just so keep us in the loop. But no, I'm not suggesting you need any more permission.
So, just
How do people make donations?
What was that?
How does someone make a donation?
So, you see this gentleman to my right, you throw everything to him. No, we have the address of the East Millstone. By the way, the East Millstone Historical Society has been very helpful to us with managing the funds. Mayor, on the May 12th, if you're there at intermission, I was going to talk to Mike, I'd like to invite donors to come up where we could bring them on stage at the intermission, and you can receive checks from them on our behalf.
On your behalf, yes,
Yeah,
I will
okay,
receive
good.
checks on your behalf.
But more direct response for your question, Councilwoman Robinson, you can go to franklincac.org, which is the Cultural Arts Council's website, and make an electronic donation anytime you want. franklincac.org. franklincac.org for our studio audience or at-home audience. And also, if you're writing a check out, then that would go to EMHS-Franklin Gazebo Fund.
That's East Millstone Historic
Yeah,
Society.
but you don't have to write that out. So
Right.
they were good
To
enough
be
to
able to
partner with us.
remember.
They're giving us help administrating the funds and doing some work with us. So it's a community effort.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Well, you haven't heard the motion. You haven't had, we still got to vote. Don't you want to stay here for the vote? So, if I may restate the motion as council moves to ask that the manager proceed with this under his oversight all the way to construction. Is that basically what?
And
you-
ribbon cutting.
And ribbon cutting. Moved and seconded. By acclamation? So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried. Sounds unanimous to me. Great. Congratulations, guys.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we are now on to the Sister Cities policy. And, well, why don't you take it away, Councilman Prasad?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You all have a copy of the draft Sister City policy. It was actually discussed at the admin committee, and our recommendation is that we adopt this policy. And since there is no one-size-fits-all, it'll be, adapted to each opportunity to establish a Sister City program. But one of the recommendations of our lawyer was that we join the Sister City organization for help in drafting these agreements, et cetera. So we are going to do that, and we have a wealth of experience in our attorney. He did do the Marlboro agreement with Japan on a Sister City agreement, so that's our recommendation, and you have it in front of you. There are many benefits: cultural, religious, diversity, education, travel and tourism, and trade, economic development. All those benefits are there in the case of Marissa, but I'm first moving to accepting the policy draft first, and would like to like the council to accept that, and then I'll come back to the second part of it. So that's my motion to accept this policy on the Sister City programs.
Okay, moved. Do we have a
Second.
second? Mr. Manager, did you have a comment on
I just had a minor one. I know that the councilman passed out drafts of the policy. There are some minor differences between what you have in front of you and what is actually in the resolution to be adopted tonight.
Okay.
Most notably, and it's just, listen, there was some simple grammatical errors that I needed to correct.
Right.
But more importantly, the one thing that was added to the draft that admin discussed was the inclusion of members of the Board of Education in the ad hoc. That's not in that, what was
Right.
handed out. It is in your agenda.
Right.
It's just not in the one that the councilman handed out.
Yeah,
That's the only thing I have to add.
My apologies, I did not get a chance to see the draft in the agenda. It came out pretty late, and I wasn't able to access it. So whatever, that resolution is what we would adopt. So that's for the adoption of the policy? So that's
Yes.
the one we would go with, the language.
Okay. So, so that is Resolution 18-35, authorizing a sister city policy between Franklin Township, Somerset County, State of New Jersey, and cities globally. So this is a vote just on the policy
Right.
itself. Mr. Chase.
I have a infinitely minor correction to make, but it's the kind of thing that bothers me. In the second bullet, where it says recognition of a major group of township residents, country of origin, the apostrophe should
It
be
is.
after the
It
S
certainly should be.
rather
You
than
got me.
before it. So there's multiple residents.
It's a pet peeve of mine, so I'm surprised they didn't catch that as I proofed it, but you're absolutely right. That's it, I got a 98 on the test, right? There you go. That's okay. I'm still an A.
All right, so corrected, or with that amendment. I don't think we'll vote on that amendment. Any other discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to,
Sure.
so I know I didn't bring this up during my council comments, but I do want to point out that we discussed this at length in admin. And one of the things that we did discuss is the benefit to the students. Knowing that recently being able to travel outside the U.S. and getting to experience different cultures, it would be great to bring it to even younger people in the municipality. So, but the thing that we want to point out is we want to work with the Board of Ed so that it's not overtaxing to the teachers, because there's a lot of work that the teachers are doing already that they're trying to cram into it. So even if it starts out as a extracurricular activity or something small and then scale up. But this definitely is an exciting opportunity. It looks like we've already got 2 sister cities. It could be endless. and the community's involvement will be excellent as well. So we definitely need the community to help out. We're in uncharted waters at this point, I think it is, from the council, but there's a lot of support out there and guidance, and we look forward to working with the residents. So.
And we also discussed, Mr. Mayor, who was going to go to Sri Lanka.
And,
Well, skip that.
And we all wanted to go.
okay. Okay, I'm sure you're all allowed to, as long as you have passports.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone else?
Yes, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
In the last meeting, we agreed that we're going to form a committee that will include both the Sri Lanka, the towns involved, and part of our council members. That is what we agreed. So I don't know when that will.
So
take
you have
effect.
2 other resolutions to consider on the agenda. One for the exploration of a sister city relationship with Marissa, Sri Lanka, and one for a relationship with Inquera, Nigeria. So when you consider those resolutions, I think you'll have an opportunity to have some discussion, correct, Mr. Mayor? At that time, I'd say you could make recommendations for the ad hoc.
Right.
If that, after you have to adopt the resolution to pursue it before you have an ad hoc committee for the pursuit.
So we can cover that after, we'll make that item D. Okay. Anyone else wishing?
Yes. Go ahead,
Councilman
Councilman.
Vasanella.
I know that we're not getting into ad hoc committee, and that's fine. It's one step at a time. But I just want to know in a general sense, because I find this as having the possibilities of such rewards, especially for younger people and students, that any of the communication or involvement or whatever you want to call it that the students would have or be part of as this goes forward over the years, I'd like to make sure that we are reaching out to all of the non-public schools that we have in our town also, whether it be parochial, private, charter, or whatever. So I know it's mentioned and the Board of Ed is mentioned here, so I just want to make sure that there's a, that's understood, assuming we're legally allowed to cast in that.
Sounds like a great thing for the ad hoc committee to discuss.
Right.
Councilwoman, I'm sorry, Deputy Mayor Robinson. You have, passes. Anyone else wishing to speak? So we have a motion and a second. It is a resolution, so please call the vote.
Councilman Chase,
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois,
Yes.
Councilman Gattari,
Yes.
Mayor Kramer,
Yes.
Councilman Onijaka,
Yes.
Councilman Passad,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Robinson,
Yes.
and Councilman Vasanella,
Yes.
Councilman Wright.
So, Councilman Prasad, would you like the honor of reading Resolution 1836, the title of it?
Right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Resolution 1836 authorized the exploration of a sister city relationship between Franklin Township, Somerset County, State of New Jersey, with Marissa in Sri Lanka.
Okay, we have a motion. I'm sorry, we've
So,
read it. Do we have a motion?
I move that we adopt this resolution.
We have a motion and a second.
Second.
Does anyone, any discussion on adopting exploration for Sri Lanka?
Mr. Mayor, I had handed out a draft. This can be wordsmithed and cleaned out. I have no pride of authorship. But, our attorney was going to review it, but he can clean it up and give us his blessings, and we can then use that as a draft to send the official email that was requested by Ambassador Rowan Pereira to start the ball rolling
Well, the
at the
item
Sri
under
Lankan government end.
the item under discussion is exploration of
Right,
it,
so this
and-
would be part of that exploration, is sending an email.
Well, that would be up to the ad hoc committee as to
Right.
whether to send the email. I'm happy to put my signature on it when we have
Okay.
that, but right now we are trying to authorize the exploration, which basically means let's form an ad hoc committee and start exploring it.
Right.
So
Mr. Mayor.
You're talking about
I'm
a detail of it.
just as a point of note, the resolution that's in the electronic agenda is missing a portion of a sentence that I have and I can voice, fill for you when we get to that point. And because and Msiba, it happens. Somewhere along the line, as we drafted this resolution, the clerk and I, a portion of a sentence got dropped off.
So we are at that point.
Okay, so we're
you-
at that point. So if you don't mind, I'll read what should be there. It should say, "Now therefore be it resolved by the Township of Franklin, Somerset County, State of New Jersey, do hereby authorize the exploration of a sister city relationship with Marissa, Sri Lanka, in accordance with the official sister city policy of the Township of Franklin." As you see, there were words that somehow got eliminated. And when we get to the next one, those very same words were eliminated in the next one as well because it was copied and pasted and the names were changed. So I apologize for the confusion, but I just wanted to clarify it on the record here. And the official resolution will reflect all of the words in the resolution.
And before Councilman Chase corrects you, I believe it's does hereby, not do
Does,
hereby.
and I know it does, it does. It doesn't do, it does. It does, yes.
Done.
Does, done, good, done.
So that's the resolution we're moving
Okay, so.
and voting on.
So the mover and the seconder accept that change?
Right.
Good. So any other discussion on the item? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Galtieri?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Onijaka?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Robinson?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Congratulations. So the next item, Councilman Onijaka, would you like the honor of reading 18-37?
Resolution 18-37. Authorize the exploration of a sister city relationship between Franklin Township, Somerset County, State of New Jersey, with Nkwara in Nigeria.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
It's the language, the manager.
Yes.
Yes, what
okay.
I said before.
That's right. Could you say the name of the city again? Because for the public, it's spelled Nkwere, so that's pronounced,
As Nkwara, the K is silent.
the K is, okay. But KW, Nkwere?
Nkwara, yes.
Nkwere, okay, great.
Nkwara.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Galtieri?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Onijaka?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Robinson?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
So would we, is there any desire on the part of council to make nominations now for the ad hoc committee? I assume 4 members. Do we
Mr.
want to do
Mayor?
that, or we do want to do that at the next council meeting?
No, for the Sri Lankan one at least, or you want
No,
to
it's
have a
gonna be-
sister city ad hoc committee?
I think that's what we're going to talk about. I don't think we should have separate committees.
Okay,
I
and
mean,
that could be the admin committee?
I'm sorry, that's my opinion.
Okay,
Others may have different opinions.
I say let's wait to the next
Yeah.
meeting.
Mr. Mayor?
I think so.
So hang on, so Deputy Mayor Chanel Robinson.
I say we wait till the next meeting because there may be people out there in TV land that may want to make a decision tonight. I know we can build the committee, but I think we should
no,
wait
but
till next meeting.
he's saying it's part of the council, people within the council.
Well, I think we still should wait till next.
So Councilman Wright?
I am really not hearing the discussion down there, but you asked if we should put 4 people on that ad hoc committee tonight to move forward with the program. Is that correct?
So my thought, and that was only my opinion, obviously the rest of council will weigh in. my thought was to put 4 council members on that to begin with, but others may have other thoughts.
So
'Cause it was not spelled out, it just said ad hoc committee.
I look at that and I say, well, we know who's here, so we might as well just go ahead and put them on the committee. And if that's what we're looking at, my first and foremost person on that committee would be Councilman Prasad, since he, I think, would be at the forefront of that. And I won't hog up the nomination process, so I'll let everyone else go, but Councilman Prasad would be my first choice.
Okay, so that's a nomination for Councilman Prasad, and let me just read what item 4 says. An ad hoc committee of council members, does not specify how many, and if needed, volunteer residents will be appointed to pursue the sister city agreements and their ongoing relationship management. So we have a nomination for Councilman Prasad. We also have the suggestion we should wait.
I'd like to nominate Councilman Onyejaka.
So we now have a nomination for Councilman Onijaka. Any other, oh, and I've trained you well, you're not seconding the nominations. Thank you. Any other
Okay,
nominations or comments?
I'd like to nominate Councilman Will Galtieri and James Vassanella.
So we have nominations for Councilman Galatieri, who's finally developed a last name, and Councilman Vasanella. And is everyone who is nominated agree to the nomination?
Yes.
Agree
Yes,
to the
I
appointment,
agree.
I mean?
Yes.
Okay.
I agree to the all-mayor review.
Any other nominations? You agree to what?
Yeah, we can have,
Oh,
Mayor, I nominate Kim Francois, Councilwoman.
So now we have a nomination for Councilwoman Francois.
But we can only have 4.
No, at least
Council
we need one
We
woman
can,
there.
we could have 9 nominations, but we can only have 4, so we will have to vote. So there's competition up here. Please, everyone out in the public, no betting.
Want to do it?
Okay, well, so the attorney has just suggested separate committees for separate places.
Sounds like,
We could do that.
I'm sorry. Mayor?
Yes, Councilman.
It sounds like it might necessitate or be helpful to have a separate committee, or maybe just, I don't know. If we can decide on the 4 council people, we can always deal with the rest of the makeup down the road. I would think maybe someone from the human
Well, that's the civilian portion. We're
Yeah,
deciding
or
the
the
council portion at this
public,
time.
right.
And,
I guess I was thinking, Mr. Mayor, since we're trying to roll this thing out, and this is
Councilwoman?
what's the word? Uncharted territory. It would be helpful to have, the one committee spearheading the effort for all the different sister cities, so we can have some lessons learned.
That's true.
okay,
Because
so.
we're establishing policies and procedures
Yeah,
and things like
so-
that.
So my comments, piggybacking on the deputy mayor's first comment, was we could either do it now or we could wait all of 2 weeks and,
3 weeks.
and try to put our thoughts together as to what we want to do.
Yeah.
So right now, we have 5 nominations. So would someone like to make a motion? I'm interjecting my own desire here, and I hesitate to do that. So, but I will, if no one makes the motion and there's no second, then it won't go any further. Does anyone make a motion to wait till next meeting to vote on the ad hoc committee?
Motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any
To wait.
discussion on waiting till the next meeting to vote on the ad hoc committee?
Well, we'd like to start forming the specific committees and, in that case, starting to move forward, and we lose 2 weeks in which, then,
So,
we could have the manager
So-
give us his
I-
input on it.
So, Mr. Manager.
So thank you, Mr. Mayor. So what I might offer here is this. Waiting until the next council meeting does not mean that you can't begin to solicit volunteers, and we can also, through your official channels, reach out to the Board of Education to see if, in fact, they have interested parties on the board to participate on the ad hoc. It also gives me the opportunity to begin the process of joining Sister Cities International, which might also give you more information as you form your committee. And that means that you could then appoint all of the members that you now have interested in participating at one time rather than doing it piecemeal.
Sounds like a plan.
Yes, I think so. Yep.
So we have a motion and a second to delay till 2 weeks. Any other, well, until the next council meeting, which is roughly 2 weeks. Is it 3 weeks? Okay. Any other discussion on that motion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Chase?
So I'm
Yes.
sorry, I'm sorry, yes
sorry.
means to delay.
Oh, okay.
Yes means to delay. Madam Clerk.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Galtieri?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Onijaka?
Yes.
Councilman Passad?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Robinson?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Okay, so we will bring that, that will be on the agenda for next council meeting under council discussion, or I guess council discussion. Okay, we are now on to approval of the minutes, item number 11. We have none submitted. We are now on to number 12, approval of the warrants. Warrants to the amount of $1,503,348.26 on January 23rd, 2018 are presented to the Township Council for payment. Is there a motion for the warrants?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the warrants? Oh, I thought you, okay. I thought Councilman Prasad was raising his hand.
No.
He was waving goodbye?
Yeah.
Seeing no discussion, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Galtieri?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Onijaka?
Yes.
Councilman Passad?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Robinson?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
We are on to item number 13, public hearing and adoption of ordinances on second reading. There are none. Item number 14, ordinances on introduction and first reading. Ordinance 4221-18, an ordinance amending the municipal code of the Township of Franklin, Somerset County, New Jersey, more particularly Chapter 236 Municipal Services Schedule A, Canal Walk Phase 10. The foregoing ordinance is presented to the Township Council for first reading, posting, publication in accordance with law, and public hearing and final adoption on Tuesday, February 13th, 2018 at 7 p.m. at the Municipal Complex. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
And a
Seconded.
second? Moved and seconded. So this is basically in one phase of Canal Walk for the township to take over lighting and snow plowing. Any other discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Galtieri?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Onijaka?
Yes.
Councilman Passad?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Robinson?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella? Councilman Wright?
Yes.
We are now on to the consent agenda, and I have a question for our parliamentarian. If someone, I do know that someone needs to abstain on one of these. Can they vote yes with abstention on the particular item, or do we have to separate it?
No, I would take it separately and vote on it separately.
Okay. So does anyone wish to pull an item?
Mr. Mayor, I motion that we pull,
Have to move.
I'm sorry, no, you're right. I'm requesting that Resolution G is pulled for a separate vote. That's number 18-40.
So any council member has the right to pull an item from the agenda. No motion needed. Not from the agenda, but move it from the consent agenda to be voted on separately. So item G will be discussed separately. Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Well, I don't want the item pulled out of the consent agenda. I would like to ask a question, or is that proper and I have to wait till you actually get into?
No, that is quite proper.
Okay. Number C, the final change order for Spring Street area resurfacing. I would like the township manager to explain to the township exactly what that means.
It's a change order decreasing the cost of that particular paving project, which is a number of streets in the Spring Street area. Decreases by 14,000 and change, I believe, 14,296. In this particular case, if I scroll down, it's usually the cost associated with the purchase of the asphalt. It's a fluctuating cost, but the number, this one was police coverage. The number of hours was less than what was anticipated because they got the paving done quicker, so they didn't have that part of the contract. So we don't pay. It's adjustable in that regard with a change order to the contract.
So we actually saved money on that deal.
Yes, it cost us less than what was originally awarded in the contract. That's correct.
And number 1838, the award non-fair and open professional service agreement, 2018 Robert Wood Johnson Physician Enterprise. If you can explain that one for us, please.
That's for pre-employment physicals and DOT, commercial driver's license testing. It's a doctor's office.
Okay, so we go there, the employees when they're first hired or something?
Yeah, exactly. Either when they're first hired or there's, if they're injured on duty, a police officer gets hurt on duty or a public works employee gets hurt while they're on duty, they have to go to the doctor rather than the hospital. We have to have someone to provide medical services like that. And also if one of our public works, it's generally public works, one of our public works employees who has a commercial driver's license is involved in a motor vehicle accident, they're required to go through testing for drugs and alcohol immediately after the accident. So this is a facility, they're an occupational health practice, and they can provide those tests.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to, we pass these consent agenda items, and sometimes I'd like to pull them out just so the people would know that we're just not blowing their money. These are some things that we have to have in C and E. One showed the residents of Franklin that we saved some money, and E showed the residents of Franklin exactly where their money goes as far as when we hire someone and we need that physical, and as the township manager indicated, some things that we have to have. And by the way, that contract is not to exceed $30,000. So it's just something that I think the residents should hear and understand exactly what we do.
Thank you, Councilman Chase. He's actually, Councilman Wright. Actually, he brought up a question in my mind. So when you get a change order down like that, is that our engineering department that initiates that, or is that the contractor themselves? How does it originate?
Well, I mean, through every step of a construction contract, we have an engineer on staff that monitors their progress, and they have to submit all of the receipts, and so then you come up with a total, and our engineering department determines that we're going to pay them $14,000 less in this case.
Got it. Any other items? So do we have a motion to vote on items? We already have the motions, sorry.
Yeah.
So this will be a vote
Except for G.
on items A through I, except for G. Madam Clerk.
Councilman Chase,
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois,
Yes.
Councilman Gattari,
Yes.
Mayor Kramer,
Yes.
Councilman Onijaka,
Yes.
Councilman Passad,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Robinson,
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella,
Yes.
Councilman Wright.
Yes.
And thank you, Deputy Mayor. I misspoke. It's A through L. So if anyone wishes to call a new vote, please let me know. Give me a call. And now item G, to be voted on separately. Any discussion on item G? Madam Clerk.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Galtieri?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Onijaka?
Yes.
Councilman Passad?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Robinson?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Abstain.
Councilman Wright?
Motion is passed. We are now on to old business, boards, committees, and appointments. Anyone have any nominations for our boards, committees? Hearing none. The next item will be executive session. Authorizing, Resolution 18-46, authorized executive session, contract negotiations and litigation, AFSCME 2859, contract negotiations and litigation, Mid-Atlantic Salt versus Township. Do we have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. At this time, the Township Council will adjourn to the executive session to discuss contract negotiations, AFS CME 2859, and litigation, Mid-Atlantic Salt versus Township matters. No other actions will be taken by the Township Council at the conclusion of the executive session. Therefore, the recording of this meeting will end. Thank you. Be well, Franklin.